Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. I know it's been a couple of days. My apologies. Okay. Shout out to BGS for this one. You know I had to get on this one. This one might actually get a two-parter. You know it might get a real two parts because I'm saying it early and not at the end of the stream, or, approaching the end of the stream. Okay, so let's get into it. My voice is a little different today. I don't know what's going on. All right. So BGS puts out a video speaking about Kim Foster and Stephanie. Excuse me. Kim Foster is from Fort Harriet, and Ostefco pretty much got her YouTube debut, or at least she is most well known for her video speaking about not having pretty privilege and what that looks like and what that feels like. She has a series of videos kind of speaking about bad dates, like just the feeling of not being the desirable friend or the attractive friend in her friend circle necessarily. And Kim Foster has also spoken about knowing where she ranks and being okay with that, although we can tell that she's not. I want to start off this video by let's start with, for those of you that don't know why BGS brought up 7, right? The number 7, and why, rest in peace, Kevin Samuels did not allow for women to say they're a 7. Let me explain. It's not that he said you can't rank yourself over a 7. For those of you that don't understand, I'm pretty sure that my audience, my subscribers know. I'm just saying this, just putting it out there. Kevin was making sure that you didn't get to play it safe. Kevin removed the number 7, meaning you can't call yourself a 7, because he took away the safe number, what many women would consider the safe number, where they wouldn't be bold enough to call themselves an 8, 9, or 10, right? And where they think they're above what average is, which is 4, 5, and 6. So he takes away the safe number and sees if you're bold enough to call yourself an 8, 9, and 10, knowing, both of us knowing, that's Kevin, and that's you knowing you don't get 8, 9, and 10 results in the dating scene, right? And that's both in the Black community for the Black women that were calling up, and outside the Black community for the Black women that were calling up, and the non-Black women that were calling up. That's why he asked you to rank yourself. That lets him know up front, especially if he can see you, up front, whether you're bold enough and how much of a lie you are to yourself, right? Are you going to lie to him and to yourself about the results of your dating life? Because he knows it by looking at you, and you know it by looking at you, and that's also why he asked you what city you're in or from, or et cetera, right? So continuing, and I have notes here, obviously. All right, let's see. So my title is The Politics of the Aggrieved and the Rejected. And if you notice, and once again, continuing with what BGS said, these are educated women. All the women that we mainly focus on, right, are educated women. That goes from the intellectual class, the petite bourgeoisie of the Black community, all the way across to the divestors, and then the cross-pollination, the ones that kind of occupy both spaces. They're all educated women. And all they want to talk about is the politics of desirability in their vagina. Because, like BGS said, resources are tied to that. They understand that the way they look and the way that men perceive them, that's Black men and non-white, Black men and non-Black men, but primarily white men for the non-Black men, right? They understand that the way they look or the way that men treat them is a function of the way they look. That their education and their intelligence and their wittiness can only get them so far, both in and out of the Black community. That's why they always continue to harp on on the aesthetic of things, desirability, the way things look, the way things perceive, the way things sound instead of what the person's actually saying. They're always working on things that can be interpreted a different way, right? Not the concrete part of things, but things you can kind of wiggle out of, or things that you can, manipulate, or people that you can manipulate with looks. That's why they focus on these things, because in their minds, they've been on the losing side of the desirability game, right? So once again, remember, Kim Foster is Ivy League educated. Ostefko is an educator, right? Chrissy, from my understanding, has a degree in marketing or something along those lines, right? Sales or marketing or something like that. You understand? So these people's politics is very much informed by desirability or the lack thereof. That's why that's all they want to talk about, is who's having sex with who, how does that person look, what celebrity is kind of legitimizing or legitimating or putting on a pedestal a particular type of look. That's why for the divestors, they're so invested in what black celebrity man and non-black man, quite frankly, but really what black celebrity man is doing with his penis. Who is he walking on the red carpet with? Who is he get caught seen with in Europe, right? Or on some beach in Miami. They're obsessed with that type of information, because for them, him not being with a woman that looks like them means that they don't have a shot at men on that level in general. They like to lie to you and say it's black celebrity men. No, it's celebrity men. It's wealthy men. It's men of power. It's men of influence. Right? Khadijah is another one. Master's degree level. If I'm not mistaken, at one point she was working on her PhD. Right? Educated. You could tell this young lady thinks, she's a thinker. But when it comes to her vagina, and when it comes to looks, and the way she feels about it, all of that goes out the way, out the window. Kim Foster's another person. Looks, her vagina. Another very educated young lady. But when it comes to the way she feels about not being desired by the type of men she thinks she deserves, once again, out the window. Chrissy just straight up told y'all, if y'all don't build Wakanda, it's black men ain't ish. It's black men ain't ish today, now, and forever. Once again, because the men that she thinks she deserves, she feel like she deserves, refuse to legitimate her. Right? So this is why the politics, of desirability matters. This is why it matters. Something I want to stress, and this is if FD is listening, and if any one of these people are listening, I know the women aren't listening, but if Rodford Jean is listening, is Conscious Lee listening? I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. I don't think I'm that big. But these women aren't above it. I don't know why. Somewhere in men's minds, in black men's minds, in these black women's minds, in educators' minds, we think women, black women in particular, are above being petty, being mean, right? Being stuck in the past of when boys in high school were not approaching them, we're not trying to court them and date them, right? The boys that they wanted in high school. I don't know why we think that women, even educated women, even Ivy League educated women, are above that. Listen to the way they speak and sound. Understand what's fueling them. Stop giving them the benefit of the doubt on disrespect, because they have already told you multiple times what's really fueling them. They don't say it in those exact words, but you let them talk long enough and they'll tell you, right? What has happened over the better part of 50 years, 60 years, is that we defer to women and we ignore what they're actually saying, not the words coming out their mouth, not even the emotion, right? But what they're actually saying, not just the words, but what they're actually saying. And what many are saying is, I'm still mad. I am 30 some odd years old, 40 some odd years old, 50 some odd years old, 60 some odd years old, and I am still aggrieved because I was rejected when I was 13 and 14 and 16 and 17 and 18 years old. Yes, 40 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, 40 years later, and my politics are informed by a lack of desirability, by being desired by the men I desire, not the men I settle for, right? Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. But the men I desire. And you let Yanni speak long enough and she told you. You let Khadijah speak long enough and she told you. You let Kim Foster speak long enough and she told you. You let Chrissy speak long enough and she told you. They've all said it. The video where Kim Foster said it is somewhere on Themis' channel. Yanni just told y'all it, the real, about two or so months ago, 3 months ago. Khadijah told you the real in her video about desirability about a month ago. Chrissy has told you the real multiple times. Why do we think they're above it? Oh, Stefco told you the real coming in the door over a year ago at this point. These are all educated women. They're not above it. None of them are above it. They always go back to when I was 14. The lady, I think she's in her 40s. I think she's an excerpt. Speaking of BGS, grown woman with children. BGS talks to her for 5 minutes. Well, it all started when I was 15 years old, and there you go. And there you go. These are adults. Adults that pay bills. Adults that wake up and go to work in the morning. Right? These are adults. Tax-paying citizens. Right? And you talk to them long enough, and they're still talking to you about who didn't want them when they were in high school. That's why Mr. C walked in the door telling you that that's what's really fueling them. Yeah, and shout out to BGS for shouting me out. Yes, BGS. Yes, the politics of the aggrieved and rejected. I walked in because as a child, I really listened as a child. In middle school, I really listened. In high school, I really listened. In college, I really listened. Unfortunately, I actually listened to the women. It wasn't just about the words coming out of their mouth. It's about understanding why they're saying what they're saying. Did you hear me consciously? Did you hear me FD signifier? Did you hear me Rossford James? It's about what's really fueling why they're saying what they're saying, right? And let's pause right here on this by saying, you know, there's a video where FD speaks, the brother FD Signifier speaks about, women not needing men. And now men have to, wipe their butt and, take a shower and put on a clean shirt or whatever. And at least for the black community, maybe he's saying that for non-black people, I don't know. But at least for the black community, brother, you know better than that. You know that's not why those women are sounding the way they sound. For the most part, and at least over the past 50 or some odd years, 60 years, black women haven't needed black men. That's the whole welfare queen argument. We already established that a long time ago. That's the whole argument about how the government came in with welfare checks and allowed for black women to tell black men to kick rocks. We've already had that conversation. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the women like Kim Foster that want to keep their foot in both sides. They want a land of patriarchy without the patriarchs. They still want the door open. They still want the bills paid. They still want you to go downstairs when something bumps in the night. They just don't want to pay it forward and defer to you as a man. You don't get last word. So the dads that our grandparents understood and our great-grandparents understood, the women said, F the dads, it's all me. I want modern feminism and patriarchy. I just don't want the patriarchs in the patriarchy. Right? I want the state to force these men to be patriarchs, but then I don't want him to be a patriarch in the home. FD, even you had to acknowledge how many women are playing the 1 foot in, 1 foot out game. And you want men to do what with that? Just go to the women that are not like that. That's like 10%. What we're showing you, and that so many of you ignored, is that even your educated class, your petite bourgeoisie, the brothers that keep on talking like this is not what they're looking for, the sisters that are talking like this is not what they're looking for, they're also looking for it. Their politics is fueled and animated by this resentment, right? Their politics is fueled by this resentment. And if it wasn't for the black manosphere, so many people, including you, brother FD, it seems like you would have never addressed it. You would have never addressed why the marriage rate for Americans in general, black men, particularly black women, went through the floor. Why so many young people are not having children and not getting married. Yes, also obviously the economy. Yes, money. Yes, obviously. The atomization of everyone. Of course. But what's also fueling that is the hypocrisy coming from the same women that you claim to share an ideological tint with, Mr. FD Signifier. That's why I said don't ask the men to move 1 more inch until you get the women to move. More and more feminists, more and more high-powered women, white women, not the black ones. The black ones are still on the BS. Are saying, yeah, we can't. Look, ladies, we're going to have to rethink men. We're going to have to rethink why we're attracted to men and what makes us attracted to men. Right? Miss Marie Slaughter, I think her name is. Anne-Marie Slaughter. Right? And we're not talking about women and their kind of dual mating strategy where it's, I'll pipe this dude, but I'll marry that dude. I pipe the 6'3" tall, chisel chin, 6-pack guy, but then Mr. 5'7", non-charismatic, but straight lace guy. Yeah, he can be the one to help me raise these children from the 6'2", 6'3" guy. We're not talking about that. When we tell her to make a choice, and that's what you got to stick with forever, what does she choose? And then what does her politics look like afterward? That's what we're talking about. And thank you for the super chat, Toya. And Toya says, Just want to pour into the fund. And thank you, brother. I said thank you, brother. Thank you, sis. Thank you, Toya. Thank you. Right. On that note, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Right. This is about desirability and how much these women are fueled by not feeling not wanted by the men they want, the men they truly want. I want to stress this again. Not the men they settle for. Sometimes not even the men they marry. The men they truly find attractive. The men that get those panties soaked, that man. And some of you husbands had to find out the hard way that you ain't the one, right? Some of you boyfriends had to find out the hard way you're not the one. Y'all done met, you know, a couple of her exes walking by. You don't look nothing like them dudes. Which you think she came to some realization, she had some epiphany, right? So shout out to the women that actually say, I'm not settling, I'm happy. That's why you've been single for 20 years, right? Continuing, let them talk. Let them talk. This is one of Mr. Z's. This is why I always push this. Excuse me. Let the ladies talk. We already know. For those of us in the Black manosphere, we already know what this is. But if you let them talk and you let them talk long enough, then the brothers like FD Signifier can't pretend like they didn't say what they just said. You know, brother, I know you occasionally listen in. That's why I make sure to sprinkle it in every video I can that I remember. Kim Foster saying, let's bring back, we don't need these Negroes feminism. And Negroes wasn't the word she used. Because I want you to hear the woman you share ideological tint with, what she said and how are you going to address it. And she meant it, and she wasn't saying it in jest. She meant what she said. Tell Black women, let's bring back, we don't need these Negroes feminism during the era of stagflation. Right? And we all know Black women need Black men. Black women been trying to not need Black men, I don't know, since we walked off train tracks, since we walked up the plantation, definitely over the past 60 or so years. And how's that been working? It's been working swell, huh? A couple of middle management jobs, a couple of BS titles, a couple of BS jobs. By the way, I'm getting the BS jobs, not insulting Black women, but saying, like, you know, the book, you know, BS jobs. By the way, it's not BS, it's the actual word. This is not me saying only Black women are working BS jobs. I'm saying that, you know, people in America working BS jobs, including Black women. Right? And GC said, did she say ER? No. She, you know, the hood way. Right? We have to be honest about what's fueling these people. Right? And that's why I make sure to say this over and over again. The random quotes from these content creators and from random feminists and Black feminists throughout history and what they've said. Right? Your favorite feminist that all of y'all like to quote, Miss Bell Hooks, and her saying straight up, yeah, you know, maybe more Black women need to be married to white men because the women take on the status of her husband. And this was a part of the political project. How's that been working? Right? What these people truly want, and we have to be honest, is relationship communism. That's what they want. Relationship communism, right? And that's just not a thing, nor will it ever be. That's not a thing, nor will it ever be. The women that men consider, and you can't, and by the way, you can't socialize men out of this is hardwired, but you're going to try because you've been trying. You cannot socialize men to not find attractive what they find attractive. The best you can do is be a woman with some money and spend some money on the type of man you find attractive. Yes, ladies, I said it. Do what drives your vagina. Buy the penis. Oh yeah, ladies. Going back to what BGS was saying. Oh yeah, you're gonna have to come out the pocket. If you want Chisel Chin Tyrone or even Chisel Chin Brad, and you know you don't have, and stop lying to yourself. You know you don't have the looks. Oh, you're gonna have to come out the pocket. And by the way, he's still gonna cheat on you. Oh, and by the way, if you got lucky and he married you young in college, he's still gonna cheat on you. I'm just letting you ladies know. So even when you buy the penis, oh yeah, he's still cheating. And you better hope for God that he doesn't ever get on his feet financially because he's gonna leave. That's why I keep on bigging up that couple, that white man and that white woman couple, where the dude is, you know, jacked and he's chisel chin and he's married to that heavy set white woman. That's why I keep on bigging that up. Right? Because it's like this one-off, like almost never happens thing, and it happened. Right? Eric Denman, I just referred to that. And Eric Denman says, Mr. Z, do you remember what BGS video it was where the young lady said it started when she was 15? This is wild to me. It's one of the videos where he was with Herbert. Herbert is one of the brothers in northern New York, like right next to the Canadian border. And that young lady, I think she's either Canadian or she is American, but like she also lives in that kind of general region, if I'm not mistaken. I'm calling her a young lady, but she's older than me. I'm gonna have to search for it, but BGS remembers what I'm saying because she told him that, and I said in the comments, I told you, BG, I said it because so many of these women, whether educated or not, and I really want to stress that, whether educated or not, let me say that one more time. Even if their education is in the soft sciences, this is what really fuels them, right? And y'all give me a second, y'all talk amongst yourselves. And so what I also, and I'm back, what I also want to emphasize is that this doesn't just exist in a vacuum. I want to make sure why Mr. Z is saying what he's saying. I'm addressing the specific part of BGS saying that, you know, it seems as if these people's politics are informed by this type of thing. And that's why I'm saying it. It doesn't just stay as, okay, well, I just feel a certain way. I feel negatively about not being desired when I was a child, or not having the relationship and intimacy outcomes I think I deserve. It doesn't stay there. It also expands out to how I'm going to vote, what I'm going to advocate for, right? How I'm going to speak about and to black men in public. right? This doesn't just stay a, well, I'm just mad because the type of men I want don't want me. They don't find me attractive. It doesn't stop there. I can't remember which book it was where in the intro was a sister straight up saying, one of the problems with these men in the Black Panther Party is that we were looking for dates after the march, after the protests, and they were out here gallivanting with white men. I mean, excuse me, with white women. That was like the intro of the book. Whole movements, right, have been started by these particular people in the way they think and feel about black men, right? Trell, why you BSing? That's a real thing. That's a real thing, particularly in Japan. For those of us that have seen it, seen the little mini docs, that's a real thing. Coming stateside, it already exists here, but coming stateside, coming to a city near you soon, it already kind of exists, but formally, yeah, coming to a city near you soon. This is already a thing. And by the way, let me read that for those that's just listening in. Um, Boyfriend experience for 40% off now till May, right? I'm saying full pipe 30% off. You know, this is real. These people's politics are informed by feeling aggrieved and rejected. And we think that many of these women are above it because they're educated or because they're 20 years removed from some of these initial experiences. No, they're not. They're not above it, right? Ostefko's telling you about things from middle school and high school. I don't know how old the video is that Themis has on his channel of Kim Foster telling you, okay, pretty much I was okay with the black jocks not checking for me, but the black nerds weren't. She was already an adult, already established adult, right? Real talk with Yanni. Yanni's somewhere in her late 20s, early 30s, and she's telling you about high school. And you know who needed a hug? 16-year-old me. This is not even a decade later. Yanni's way past 26 years old. And this is not something she put out 5 years ago. This is something she put out over the past, what, 3 months? 3, 4 months? All of these women they always come back to, and I got to sound, a little crass here, they're Chinese. They keep on coming back to their vagina. They keep on coming back to that. Who is and isn't interested in developing whole movements behind this thing, developing whole YouTube channels, developing whole political, all of this off of who doesn't find them attractive and feeling slighted from black men and boys. And I'll pause right here. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, and y'all talk amongst yourselves. Give Mr. Z 1 minute.
And we're back. We are back, right? And yeah, so this is something that I really thought we needed to emphasize, right? I wanted some kind of supporting, commentary going to what BGS said. And by the way, the video I'm referring to is linked in the description, and it is on BGS's Black Gnostic channel. And it's important because, as I was saying before, this is not just some little pop culture debate and argument between black men and black women. This is not just that. This is bigger than that, right? How do they speak in public about black men, or benign neglecting black men, right? Not speaking about black men at all, right? What movements have they pushed because they're resentful about who didn't want them when they were 17 years old, or who didn't find them attractive when they were 18 years old? And shame on so many people for thinking that other human beings don't think and feel certain ways about these, what they would consider childhood trauma. Shame on so many of us thinking that these educated women are above this, right? We keep speaking as if these women are above it. They're not. They're not. They care. That's why you have 45-year-olds still being able to reference the name of who they were drooling over when they were 16 and 17 years old. That is a thing. That's a thing. And much of their politics is informed by that. The way they speak about men, black men, is informed by that. The entire group of divestors, somewhere along the lines, is fueled by not being desired by the type of black men they think should desire them, and then throwing white men in black men's faces. Right? We already know one of the founding members, shout out to Crystal and Karazin, pretty much tried to trap her baby daddy, her black baby daddy, with her daughter. And when that didn't work out, she has a whole campaign and movement about how black men are trash. And what springs from that is the neo-Nazi level divestors that exist now. So yes, this does affect black politics. This is not just Mr. Z railing on about something that's inconsequential. You know, and yes, even your Ivy League educated PhD level women, black women, even they're being fueled by not feeling desired by the type of men they think they deserve, right? And feeling a certain level of resentment at women that includes other black women who they think just get life handed to them easy because they're perceived as more attractive. You know, oh Steph, oh Stefco killed the. And excuse my background. I know that was a little bit of static, but oh Stefco changed the game when she came in the door and just outright said it, because so many kid, Chrissy kept on talking around it, Paris kept on talking around it, Yanni kept on talking. All these women were here before, once again, before oh Stefco, and everybody's pointing their finger at black men. You don't value us. It's because of our dark skin. It's because of our broad nose. It's because of our Negroid features. It's because of our West African features. You don't value us. You don't value us. You don't value us. And Ostefko walked in the door and said, actually, I've dated white and black. We just don't have pretty privilege. Can we be honest here? Now, as much as we know Ostefka got her own issues, once again, she told you she smiled when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, and then once again herself, she went all the way back to middle school with it, or elementary school actually, right? Right? But she did the one thing none of the other women had the ovaries to do. She came in the door and just straight up said, "Yeah, we don't got pretty privilege, and that's our issue. We don't have pretty privilege, and that's our issue. And we don't have the experiences of the pretty girl, and we resent that." And when she used her friend as the example, how many women, black women, that hit them in their soul? That hit them in their soul. Think about, I want, and I know we're not a feeling space so much in this Black manosphere, even though it's a lie, we really be on some feeling shit too. But let's sit down with what Stephanie said, what Ostefco said, right? Let's sit down with that for a second. It's your birthday as a woman. You spend so much money. You get yourself dolled up. Y'all choose the spot. You and your friends choose the spot you're going to go to celebrate your birthday. Whatever club, whatever bar, whatever restaurant. You get there before your friend. You don't get the next breaking for you. Nobody's turning around to see you and see how attractive you are. You don't see nobody saying, "Damn," right? Nobody's drooling. None of that. Remember, your birthday. Remember, these are women we're speaking about. And then your pretty lighter skinned mixed friend walks in, and the necks start breaking, and the damn comments start coming out. There are even certain men that would bother them. So you imagine for a woman, oh man, and it's her birthday? That's what makes it worse. It's her birthday, right? It's her birthday. You know how many women that hit in their soul, before we even get to black women, you know how many women that hit them in their soul, what Ostefko said, let alone black women that hit them in their soul? What I'm saying is so much of black women's politics is informed by this feeling that they're not desired by the men they want. I like to say this, not the men they settle for, but the men that get the vagina wet, right? For Ostefko to go back there with it and remind you of that, down to the details. And remember, she was an educator. She's working with little boys. From my understanding, some little black boys also, you know? She told you when she was at the hotel during her vacation, she couldn't even look at this black man and his family because the kids are going in and she sees the man walking and makes her feel a certain way. Look at this family. She feels slighted that she doesn't have that family. Y'all hear the way Kim Foster speaks about Brittany Renner? You think that she's above it? She's speaking about Brittany Renner like Brittany Renner's doing her harm by speaking about going to the gym 3 times a week. She's speaking as if Brittany Renner is purposely targeting her. Like Brittany Renner pulled her literally to the side in front of everybody in the black community and said, "Let me tell you what your problem is, Miss Kim Foster." She's speaking like Brittany Renner's talking about her. Because what she really has an issue with is what she's saying is, "Listen here, Brittany, no matter what I do, I'll never look like you and I'll never be treated like you. Stop telling me to go to the gym 3 times a week. I will never get the results of you, and I resent you for even attempting to say that, for saying that." GC, that's absolutely hysterical. I ain't gonna read it out loud though. Absolutely hysterical. That's what really annoys her. And by the way, Kim saying, she know where she rank, but okay, I'm not, I'll let BGS go in on that. He already addressed that part. I ain't even gonna go in on that. But she said 7. Wait, she said 7.2. And now y'all realize, and for those of you that didn't catch the beginning of my stream, now y'all realize why Kevin said no sevens. He was not gonna let you play it safe. He was not gonna let you play it safe. You either admit that you're average, you're 4, 5, 6, or you get real ballsy and say you're 8, 9, 10. And then what he's gonna ask you is, are your results 8, 9, and 10 results? And let's also talk. Let me address this part. Let's address this part. Very important. Women need to stop BSing other women about this whole "we all look good" thing. This whole "we all look good, we're all tens" thing, because your results are not the same. Y'all think y'all making each other feel better. Y'all are lying to each other, and it hurts the other unattractive woman. You could lie and say we all look good, and that's still a lie from the pits of hell. But we're all tens, and we all deserve the top 2%. I remember a young lady said that on on Fresh and Fit when Abba was there before they started beefing, and Abba like looked at her like, "Do you know how to do math?" And it was a Latina. It was a Latina. I said, all of us could get the top 2%. And Abba just was looking at her like, what? The math don't math. How can all women get the 2%? Right? These people are lying to themselves and they're lying to each other. And then they get mad at the world when they come out here in the real world and the men they want do not rate them. Not even speaking about how hateful it is that men ignore them that aren't attracted to them. Wait, you mean the guy that's not attracted to you is going about his day living his life? You mean when you're walking through Publix, or I know in other parts of the country they don't have that. So when you're walking through the supermarket and he's just picking out the fruit, or he's picking out whatever he's in the clothing aisle, or he's wherever he is and he's not paying you attention. He's in the electronic department and he's not paying you attention. That's him, like, what, insulting you, belittling you, right? Yes, I've heard these type of comments online from women, from Black women. So because he's not paying, imagine. Okay, let's flip this on its head. Imagine men. Imagine how insane they're already trying to take down the Black manosphere now. You imagine if Black men in the Black manosphere were making these type of arguments. That women they were attacking you by not paying attention to you in the grocery store, in the supermarket, in the mall, right? You imagine these women want who they want, and they want who they want to want them, and they're angry that most likely, most often, that just doesn't work that way. And as BGS said, y'all just gonna have to pay. You're gonna have to pay for D. If you truly want an egalitarian society, let me say this again, ladies. Let me say this one more time. Let's emphasize what BGS was saying. If you want Morris Chestnut, who else they be drooling over? Idris Elba, who else they're drooling over? Whatever, dude. Michael B. Jordan. If you want those guys that live a regular life but have those looks, you're gonna have to pay. You're going to have to come out the pocket, ladies. And he's probably still gonna cheat on you, right? And if he gets on his feet or he becomes in a better financial position, he might leave you, right? All of this, and like this is why it's beautiful that they're talking, right? This is why Khadijah literally had a whole video, very well thought out video. There's a whole bunch of BS in there, but very well thought out, very well edited, put together. Shout out to Khadijah, right? If it wasn't for if it wasn't for her issues with black men, I find her funny. I like her humor. It's weird. Problem is, once again, you're intellectualizing your misandry and you think because you come off cutesy with it, it's not poisonous. No, we know what your issue is. Just because you giggle about it doesn't mean it's not poisonous. Just because you giggle about it doesn't mean you're still not resentful. And you could hear it in her voice when she was speaking in that desirability video. You can hear the parts where she really gets upset. Stop thinking these women are above it. Yes, even your highly educated LGBTQ black women, right? And Shrell says that's because you have the same taste. I do sometimes, yes. Maybe that's why I think she's funny, right? Yes, even some of your lesbian. That's why shout out to Professor T. Hassan Johnson. That's why I said conditional lesbianism. And shout out to Shay Sade for remembering me saying that. Conditional lesbianism. If you're black and you're from the hood, you done seen it your entire life. We done seen conditional lesbians our entire life. Straight butch lesbians. Straight butch ball cap, baggy pants, baggy shirt, and she has a child. Right? And every once in a while you hear that recently she got hit off by a man. Right? Every once in a while you hear that she got hit off by a man. Right? Same thing with the feminine ones. They're with their little butch lesbian well, I wanted to say boyfriend. They're with their little butch lesbian girlfriend, and every once in a while she cheats on her with a dude. And remember, these people have among the highest, if not the highest, DV rates in the country. Right? Among some of the highest DV rates in the country. And here's a question for everybody. We all know the answer. When they're fighting in those houses, half the time, what are they fighting over? When they're fighting in those apartments, half the time, what are they fighting over? Who did what? They're literally thumping in those apartments, in those homes. What are they fighting over? One of them cheated on the other one with a man. Better you said they fighting over Popeye's chicken. Who are they, me? Y'all better leave my spicy legs alone. Hysterical. And this is true, right? And so I really want to emphasize what BGS was saying earlier, and shout out to BGS. Yes, these people, and I love to stress that they're educated. I love emphasizing that because I don't want this to be, kind of sequestered off. Well, yeah, these are kind of some of our, wayward black women that aren't as educated and they haven't really, been in the education system. So they haven't really had to contend with some of these other ways of viewing men and some of these other ways of seeing relationships, in particular the Kim Fosters, right? And these other black women that studied Africana studies. Like I told y'all before, stop calling it Africana studies. Call it hate nigga studies. Because so many of these black women are coming out here with degrees in Africana studies and they hate black men. They despise black men. And when they speak, you could tell whether she's married to a non-black man or not. Africana studies major, a professor at somebody's university, and a whole lesbian relationship, and part of BLM's, founding members or something like that. You hate Negroes, right? And by the way, you live in America, you have the right to hate Negroes. You could be a black person and hate black people, but let's call a thing. Let's call it out. Let's point out that this is who you are, and so the rest of the black community, namely black men, can move accordingly. Ooh, Trail, that's funny. That's funny. Let's highlight that. And Trail says Afrikaner studies. Hey, we call y'all the colonizing agents of the black community for a reason. Right? Right? And thank you for the super sticker, Mr. Shook to you. Thank you very much. Right? But yeah, so let's go over some of those points again, and then we'll close out. So first, let's start off. We're not going to be in order. So 7 is safe. 7 is safe. That's why, rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. That's why he did not allow for women to use the number 7. Right? He made you have to pick a side. Either you're average or below average. Ain't nobody ever call themselves a 1, 2, or 3. Fine, that's cool. Or a 4. Right? But either you're average, you're 4, 5, or 6, or you're going to get gutsy on us and ballsy on us and call yourself an 8, 9, or 10. Right? That's why he made sure to remove 7. He's not going to let you play in the safe zone and coddle your little feelings and your little ego by saying you're a 7, which is the safe number. Shout out to you, Miss Foster. All of you people hated Kevin, but y'all never watched him. Because I'm almost certain if y'all would have watched him long enough, y'all would have understood exactly what he was doing and what he was saying. Because he was mainly talking about women like Kim Foster, calling themselves a 7, throwing their degrees in people's faces, right? Thinking they're more educated than they actually are, right? Being Christian background, which he literally was describing Kim Foster. Despising working class black men, right? Blue collar black men, thinking that you're above them. He literally was describing her. No wonder she despised this man so much. If you would have watched him, you would have even produced better content. You could have even moved even shadier than you are now, because you would have known, okay, well, the black manosphere is kind of describing this thing. Let me not talk about that and imply something is implied a different way or suggested a different way. You could have even made more coy content. But y'all despise him and y'all never watched him. Interesting. At best, maybe he would have made you change your mind about you and black men, but that's asking for way too much. But at worst, at least you would have produced better content and been more coy. Right? So that, going back to the 7 is safe. That's why we don't let you use the number 7. Because everybody runs to 7, namely women. Average women run to 7. Right? Average women run to 7 because it's a safe place. It's not offensive. The average person will let you rest on 7, even though they know you're not. Right? Because if you start calling yourself a 5, then men and women are going to start coming in to coddle your feelings. Don't call yourself a 5, because there's no women that's 5s. There's men that's 5, but there's no women that's 5s. Interesting. Right? That's why even after the average at best video, you heard so many women saying, why would she call herself a 5? Why would she call herself a 5? Because she knows she's a damn 5. Why would she call herself a 5? Why? Because if you lie to me about you, because we both know you're not a 7. We both know. But if you lie to me about you thinking you're a 7, what, I'm going to treat you like a 7? What, are you getting 7 results? And let's be very clear. Y'all really want to maybe say 8, but y'all know better, right? Y'all know better. But okay, fine. If the masses of men, regardless of race here, if they were given anonymity and they would rate you a 4, do you think calling yourself an 8 means that you're going to get 8 treatment? Are you getting 8 treatment now? Right? Are you getting 8 treatment now? You're not getting no 8 treatment. You're definitely not getting 9 and 10 treatment. You don't have 9 and 10 results. Next point, desirability. These people are making cottage industries about not being desired by the men they think they deserve. They just refuse to say that part. Chrissy's entire channel, her entire YouTube career is about not being desired by the men she thinks she deserves. She feels like she deserves. And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Her entire channel is about that. For the most part now, Real Talk with Yanni and Paris Milan entire channel is about that. And Paris Milan is married, but she found her niche selling this poison to other black women, namely younger black women, and there you go. Their entire channel is about not being desired by the men they feel should desire them. And the difference between black men, because I know somebody's going to try to draw a parallel between the black manosphere and these women. No, the black manosphere is actually talking about being divorce raped. The black manosphere is actually talking about child custody laws. The black men are actually showing y'all the hypocrisy of this weird intersectional feminist theory that y'all keep on selling that the women ain't buying. So no, our politics are not, they don't mirror each other. We're actually pushing for policy. Yes, there's men that are in here for other reasons, right? But we're actually showing you the videos of the women and their hypocrisy. The women straight up telling y'all, if I make more money than him, I will mistreat him. Straight up, exactly in those words. I will mistreat him if I make more money than him. That's what the men are doing over here. FD, don't miss what BGS told you. The women are screeching. The women that y'all put all y'all trust in are telling y'all, yeah, so you want me to marry the dude that I make more money than and I'm more educated than, and this is supposed to be equality? Screw it. You want me to marry the man that I'm on the same level on and I make the same type of money as him? I can even respect him. I want the baller dude. And the reason why that affects your politics in America is because those women stay single. And now, because this is one positive thing, those women stay single and then they don't have children. That's your future tax base. That's one less house. That's one or two less cars. That's less property tax. All of that because y'all raised these women to be insufferable and be hypocrites. You didn't tell them to get in where they fit in. You told them their education would fix where men think they rank because of their looks. And that's not what's going on. Right? How's that working? It's not. It's not working. Right? These people have whole, once again, like I said, Khadijah was what, working on her PhD, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe her master's, but very educated young lady, right? Now she's in some queer situation, and she done made a whole couple of videos speaking about desirability. And by the way, if you want to know why there are black men in the black manosphere that poo-poo black women that go to school and get degrees in these soft sciences, that's why. By the way, we need black people in the soft sciences. We do. But the reason why so many black women are in the soft sciences is for things like this. Africana studies, once again, hate nigga studies. All these degrees in the arts and the soft side, because once again, they're just gonna find some way to parlay that right into, these Negroes ain't ish, right? Right. Kim Foster attended Harvard. And yes, her channel would take a big hit financially if she was to speak about geopolitics, right? Right? Or the wealth of black people or lack thereof, right? Or reparations and the historical precedent, being set by some of this recent reparation conversation. She could have went any which way with this. Or she could talk about how capitalism is affecting. Okay, fine. She want to be on some lefty thing. How capitalism and atomization is affecting, relationships between black men and black women. She could have went there with it, right? She could even, if she really wants to be, ballsy, she could even some of the shortcoming of feminism, some of the short-sightedness of feminism. But no, every other video is either more emotional ammunition for black women or more insulting and stepping down on and punching down on black men, right? All of this talk about desirability, because they're mad at the cute little white chick, the Latina, the Asian, the light-skinned black woman, or even the very attractive dark-skinned black woman, right? That's getting the attention from men, right? I also want to emphasize this next point. They're not above it. Dear FD signifier, these women, whether they're educated or not, are not above thinking, feeling, considering, feeling slighted by the fact that other women get attention, get free stuff, get doors open for them, get that authentic smile from men. They're not above feeling a certain way about that. As much as Kim Foster tells you, but she said it a couple of times, that she accepts where she is on the beauty hierarchy, she doesn't. She resents it. She resents where she ranks on the beauty hierarchy. Chrissy resents where she sits on the beauty hierarchy. Ostefko at least has the ovaries enough to tell you she doesn't like where she sits on the beauty hierarchy. She's the one person out of all of them that's at least somewhat honest or authentic. Still sound crazy as hell, but at least she's the one. They're not above whether they're educated or not, whether they're feminists or not, or card carrying feminists at least. They're not above caring where they rank on the beauty hierarchy. They're not above it. They're not, right? Let me read this real quick. Let me pause right here. Women almost naturally rank their SMV two parts above, two, I guess two spaces, but yeah, two parts above their real SMV. Then they add 1 point. Okay, I see what you're saying. 2 points. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's read that again. Women almost naturally rank their SMV, sexual marketplace value, 2 points above their real SMV, sexual marketplace value. Then they add 1 point for being educated and independent, henceforth thinking they're sevens. But they're still not getting those results. If Kim Foster, and I'm not going to go too far into this, I'll let BGS handle that. But if Kim Foster was the seven that she thought she was, she would have been married coming out of Harvard. One of those black guys, Nigerians probably, or even one of the white dudes would have wifed her up. Kim Foster is 34 years old now. About a decade ago, they would have been preparing for their marriage, and she would have been married by the age of 27. If she was at least the seven that she thinks she is, or that she claims she is. One of those black guys or white guys at Harvard would have wifed her up, would have pretty much been courting her and dating her in college, and they would have been married by the age of 27. Somebody tell me I'm wrong, right? Someone tell me I'm wrong. And especially, and I want to, okay, FD signifier, let's go into what you said. Let's go into that. Let's go into women not needing men anymore. Okay, fine, because we live in this world and men feel a certain way about women not needing them. Okay, and women are just asking for men to put on a clean shirt and wipe your ass. Okay, cool. If men are no longer needed, do you understand what men are now? Men are luxury goods. Men are now luxury goods for women. That means you gotta pay. Ooh, that means either you're going to have to pay or end up with the air quotes knockoffs. You want the Benz S class of a man? You want the Benz E class of a man? I forgot women buy SUVs now. So the GLE, right? You want the GLE with the nice, coupe-like roofline Benz truck, right? Or that big X7 BMW truck, right? Or the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, or the Bentley Bentayga of a man. You want that? You're gonna have to pay. Okay, fine. Women no longer need men. Now it's based off of what they want. Fine. Okay, you want the Mustang 5.0 of a man. You're going to have to pay. Shout out to the Z. You want the new Nissan Z of a man. You're going to have to pay. You can't pay all of it. You got to make up for it in personality. Ooh, well, that just knocked off how many women? Huh? By the way, just like in the car world, these men are rare. You can find RAV4s everywhere. How many of y'all have seen a Bentley Bentayga in real life? Or Rolls-Royce Cullinan in real life? Or the Lamborghini Urus in real life? I live in South Florida. I see them all the time. I'm just saying though. Just like the Bentley Bentayga is rare, those men are rare too, and you're gonna have to pay. If women no longer need men, and now it's a matter of want, and well, if you want that ballerific dude, he don't need your money, but guess what? To be in the spaces he's in, you're gonna have to pay. You're gonna have to pay with time, energy, and literally money, and your personality. Well, once again, that just knocked off how many women, right? All of these men cost now. The expedition of a man, the Ford Explorer ST of a man, the Nissan Armada of a man. All men cost now, ladies. You don't need them anymore. It's just based off of what you want. Guess what? All the men cost, from the Corolla all the way to the Land Cruiser, right? All the Range Rovers and Land Rovers, they all cost. If women no longer need men, it's based off of what they want. And in particular, in the black community, black women are the educated class of the black community. They're the petite bourgeoisie. Then guess what? They're gonna have to pay. They're going to have to pay. And quiet is kept, ladies, even when you try to run out the black community and say, I ain't paying, even with the white boys, you're gonna have to pay. So let's do the cars again for the white guys. You want the F-250 of a white man, the F-350, the Dodge Ram Longhorn, the 2500 Dodge Ram, the Dodge Rebel of a white man, right? Oh, wait, you want the TRX of a white man? Oh, yeah, you're going to have to pay, right? You're going to have to pay. The Chevy Silverado of a white man, you're going to have to pay. And let's quiet as kept is half of you black women with these white dudes, you're already paying. Bragging about Brad, but you paying. And KW's Dawn says, a popular luxury and lifestyle black woman on Facebook named Nico Cherry posted, if we are together and I have to pay my own bills, I'm going to cheat. Mind you, she is a 50-year-old mother of two with a grandchild. And to my elders, Black Uru, BGS, Art New Style, right? All my elders, A.L. Evans, right? Dead Set Anime, all my elders. This is what y'all had to deal with. Why weren't y'all throwing these women from roofs? I say that in jest before somebody be like, Mr. Z over here advocating violence. Because guess what? Those people now have adult daughters or near adult daughters. And now millennials and Gen Z got to deal with their daughters. All the Xer and boomer women have adult or near adult daughters. And those women are whole entire relationship terrorists. They like to act like it's the men. Nah, these daughters are horrible, entitled brats. Entitled brats, right? And as I said, these people want relationship communism. That's their issue. They want relationship communism. They're mad. They can't have it. You know, they think it's not fair that they went to school for all this time and got all this education, and maybe they're living an okay life, but they're missing this one very important, crucial piece. They're not just missing a man; they're missing the man, right? And excuse my language, what did the young lady say? I reviewed her video about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer, and Charles did a review of it also. I don't want a nigga, I want that nigga. That's what she said, right? And yes, to going back to BGS's point, yes, these people's politics are informed by them feeling aggrieved that they can't get or keep the type of men they think they deserve. And in the black community, we've been speaking like this is not a thing for decades. That the men think like this and feel like this, but not the women. Once again, this is what happens when you put the women on a moral pedestal above the men. You continue to speak like, and some people actually think and feel that these women are above the politics of desirability and the politics being informed by their vagina. Right? Okay, I will. I will. And AL Evans said, look me up and befriend me on PS4. My handle is James Jesse 29. Okay, brother. And on that note, I'll end it out right there, you guys. I'll end it out right there. You know, um, I think it was important for me to say this, and y'all know Mr. Z goes on his rambles and his tangents and is long-winded as hell. BGS video was definitely not nearly as long as this. Um, I think he was in and out in what less than 20 minutes. So, right. So Mr. Z turned it into a whole almost hour and a half affair. Um, and thank y'all for listening in. You know, I just want us to have a more honest conversation in the Black community about Black women's leadership, about what informs the way they speak, and the fact that many of our petite bourgeoisie in the Black community, that's educated Black women, are informed by a politics of resentment and anger because of childhood rejection trauma, right? They are informed by childhood rejection, by youth rejection, right? And then the way they speak about, you got Ashley Acuna on the grapevine calling Black men, air quotes, terrorists, right? You have Black women calling Black men online bullet bags, right? You have Black women advocating for aborting Black male babies. You have Black women, Kim Foster, advocating for us to bring back "We don't need these Negroes" feminism, right? All of this because of who didn't find them attractive when they were children and young adults. For some of these people at this point in their life, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, who didn't find them attractive 15 and 20 years ago. For some of the younger Xers, over 20 years ago, right? And I'll pause right here truly, love, peace, and chicken grease. And y'all go ahead and kind of play with some of these thoughts because I just wasn't just, I was freestyling, but this is just not coming out of nowhere because these are things that we've all observed in our life, right? It's just that the Black community is hell bent on deferring to Black women and then pretending like Black women stand on a moral pedestal above everyone else, including and especially Black men. And so they don't have these same human proclivities like everyone else. Even though they're grown adults and they're educated, maybe even highly educated, that they do not feel and think a certain way about Black men because of the type of Black men they think or feel they deserve. And because their love life isn't the greatest and their sex life isn't the greatest, right? What did Chrissy say once? All these beautiful views and I have a beautiful apartment, but my relationship life is trash, right? So they have the money, then they have the education, they have the air quotes independence they've been fighting for decades, but they still want the man, not a man, but the man, whoever that man is for them. And we already know the saying, hell has no fury like a woman scorned. Well, who told you that a woman had to be having sex with or be in a relationship with the man that scorned her, or the man that made her feel, or the reason why she has this spirit about her? No, they could be scorned by a man that never even talked to them before. Yikes. Does that even make sense? No, it doesn't. But to them, it does. They could be scorned by a 16-year-old boy that didn't even know they liked them in high school. 20 years later, she still feels a certain way about it. So on that note, let's give our outro. So y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, right? I'll pause right here. Um, y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content, and Mr. Z out. Thank y'all for coming in and listening into this. It needed to be said. Thank you, BGS, for his content, and it needed to be emphasized by somebody else. So that's where I come in. And thanks for the shout out, BGS. And on that note, we will end it here. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your day.